Good evening. I am Jarrett Bell, the provisional chair of the East Point Planning and Zoning Commission. At this time, I would like to call our regularly scheduled meeting to order. Staff, would you please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Absolutely. Commissioner Sean Atkins. Commissioner Joel Tucker Todd.
Here.
Commissioner Greg Fenn.
Here.
Commissioner Patricia Lovett.
Here.
Commissioner Jared Bell.
Here.
Commissioner Will Miller. Commissioner Legina McKnight.
Here.
Commissioner William Bryan. Commissioner Joseph Fields.
Here.
Mr. Vice Chair, you have a quorum.
Excellent. At this time, we would like all of you to join us in a moment of silence. Okay, next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
Motion
I'm
to
sorry.
adopt.
Yes?
We
Kim?
have a presentation.
Okay, has the agenda changed from the email that was sent at 4:15?
It has presentations on there, but there isn't a title provided.
Okay, the presentations appear to come after the approval of the minutes.
Correct.
Okay, so we have to adopt the agenda, approve the minutes, and then we have the presentations.
All right.
Okay, all right. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt our agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as printed by staff.
Second.
The motion has been moved by Commissioner Lovett and seconded by Commissioner Fields. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the August 20th meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the August 20th meeting minutes as printed by staff.
Question.
Kim?
Yes. We also have September 3rd minutes. That should have been a part of that. I apologize for that. We had the special call meeting in September.
Okay, since this is not on the agenda, we would need to amend the agenda. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to amend the agenda.
Mr. Chair, can we just go ahead and finish the motion that's on the floor, then do that one as a separate
Sure,
motion?
sure. Okay, so you have already made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
This motion has been moved by Commissioner Lovett and seconded by Commissioner Tucker Todd. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. At this time, I will entertain a motion to amend the agenda to approve the September 3rd meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we amend the agenda and add the September 3rd minutes as presented by staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Lovett and seconded by Commissioner Tucker Todd to amend the agenda to approve the September 3rd meeting minutes. Are there any questions?
That was to include, not approve, right?
Yeah, you need to add the September 3rd minutes to the agenda, have that motion voted on, then you need to have a motion in regards to the September 3rd minutes. So it's going to be a two-step process.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you got it right the first time.
Okay, so this motion is to include, to modify the agenda, to amend the agenda to include the September 3rd meeting minutes. It's been moved by Commissioner Lovett and seconded by Commissioner Tucker-Tide. Are there any questions? If there is no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the special called meeting September 3rd minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the September 3rd special call meeting minutes as presented by staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Lovett and seconded by Commissioner Tucker-Tide to approve the September 3rd meeting minutes by staff. Any questions? If there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So at this time, we will hear presentations. Kim?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Bell. There is a presentation this evening, the title, How East Point's Industrial Manufacturing Affects the Health of East Point's Residents. It is a summary of preliminary results for a pilot study on air quality and health for the city of East Point, and it will be presented by Ms. Julie Aaron, and she is here, and I am going to share the screen. Tony, do you have the presentation, or do I need to share my screen?
If you can share yours, that'd be great.
Okay, I will do that.
I have the presentation for the items though.
Wonderful. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Ms. Julie Aaron, good evening. How are you doing today?
Good evening, Ms. Smith. I'm doing really well, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share the results of the research that East Point residents have been doing in conjunction with Emory University. So next slide, please.
Yes.
One of the things that has concerned a number of East Point residents, particularly those of us in Ward B, is the problems that we experience in living close to manufacturing facilities and sites. And so this part of the zoning map right here shows you two neighborhoods, Colonial Hills and Jefferson Park, that are very close to both light and heavy industry. As a matter of fact, these areas are directly adjacent to the neighborhoods. And with several of the industrial facilities and sites, they aren't and they haven't been in compliance with EPA regulations. Next. Here we're looking at the south part of Jefferson Park and also River Park. Here again in Ward B, the neighborhoods are directly adjacent to heavy industry and light industry. Two of EPD's designated hazardous sites are in the gray area that you see right there. Next. So for this study, we focused on air quality, and we used the Summa canister that you see on the right-hand side there. I hear a little bit of an echo. I don't know where it's coming from.
Can everyone mute their phones, please?
Okay, I'll keep going. Okay, so we use these Summa canisters that you can see on the right, and these are the gold standard in science for collecting air samples if you want to look at individual volatile organic chemicals. And Emory trained us on how to take these samples, and they funded the study. We helped them write the grant to fund the study. Next. So here's the areas that we focused on. We focused on the PPG plant, we focused on the Meredith plant, and we focused on Tri-Cities High School, which is right in between the two. So what you're seeing here, the colors are, you can see the color coding, blue for PPG, red Meredith, and green for Tri-Cities. And then we had the SUMA canisters that were 1/4 of a mile out, 1/2 a mile out, and then 3/4 of a mile out from each of these locations. Next. We worked closely with Dr. Dana Boyd Barr on this study, and I do want to emphasize that the results I'm sharing tonight are preliminary results. So these are not the final results yet of the air sampling. Dr. Barr is still doing the analysis and is working on the final report. But she was fine with having these preliminary results shared this evening. Next. So our ultimate goal was to characterize these volatile organic compounds and to create profiles that would match what we would see at each plant and differentiate those from the other sources of pollution that you might find from heavily traveled roads. Next, please. And this shows our aim, the air sampling, like I described, the canisters, the analysis, the chemical profiling taking into account rain, humidity, the direction of the wind, then the profile characterization, and this is the part that has not yet been done, that would involve creating a signature of the particular VOCs that would link to each plant and differentiate them from the surrounding area. And then the last item is commonly called citizen science. I prefer to call it community science. It's when residents like ourselves gather samples, whether it be of air, soil, or water, to get information about our environment and to better understand it, and then to advocate for improvements, whether that be an improved enforcement of laws or whether that be an improved policies. Next, please. So this just shows you again, the method we used was called EPA method T015. That's a method that you can use if you at a later time want the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry to be able to use your data. Dr. Barr developed a sampling protocol for us. Next. So this just shows you what we used. We used a bird feeder. We put the canister on it, and each resident who took samples filled out a questionnaire, time of day, date, weather conditions, and whether or not they smelled an odor, and if so, what the odor smelled like. Next. And this shows you our sampling plan. The actual sampling plan is on the bottom, and it shows you, the number of sites where we were sampling and how many, samples we had taken that were 1/4 or 1/2 or 3/4 of a mile out. Next. And this work was done from January through March of this year. So all of this is very recent. During the time when we did the sampling, as some of you all may or may not remember, it was a period of heavy rain. So when it was raining very heavily, we couldn't collect the samples. Next, please. Then this again gives a little bit more information about the air analysis. These particular canisters are able to sample 73 different volatile organic chemicals. And next page, please. Here's a full list of the full range of chemicals that they can pick up in these samples. As you can see, it's quite a few. Some of these names might be familiar to you, and probably many of these are not familiar to you, like they were not familiar to me. Next, please. And this shows you we took, as of May 1st, 72 samples, and 21 of those were 24-hour samples. So the canister was collecting over a period of 24 hours. 42 of them were samples that were collected over a 15-minute period. 2 were 4-hour samples. And then the other information tells you that we did have controls where an Emory scientist would put out the control of the sample, and then East Point resident would. And I'll give you a little bit more information later about what we observed about that. Next. So what we observed about that, the difference between the scientists who are scientists for a living and those of us who are East Point residents who were trained, is that we got nearly identical results. And we collected 43 VOCs that I just showed you on the large list, did not show up in any of the samples, but there were 6 chemicals that were detected in more than 50% of the samples. Next, please. So the chemicals detected in more than 50% of the samples, I'll talk about the odors, because those of you all who, this is actually more meaningful because you may recognize these odors, and then this can tell you the chemical that has that odor. So a familiar odor in the areas surrounding some of these plants is a fingernail polish remover, or some people describe it as paint remover. So that's acetone. And then you see the name for a solvent that has a butterscotch smell. And then the other chemicals were ones that were a refrigerant that's also a greenhouse gas, one that's a common industrial solvent, and one that's a common component of markers, paint, industrial solvents. And then another refrigerant that's considered a greenhouse gas. Next, please. So these were the chemicals that were detected sporadically. And you can look at that list, and there's more information. Dr. Barr can certainly provide more information about those, and I imagine the final report will also provide us with more information. Next, please. So the preliminary results did show that the acetone was frequently detected and was particularly high in many of the 15-minute samples. And it was often high when people when residents noted on their form that they smelled paint or paint thinner or fingernail polish removal. So this matches up what people were actually, how they described the odor, and then what the odor actually was and how that odor is often described. And then you see the other things that are shown here that were detected when the paint odors were recorded. And you can see that there were actually more VOCs detected in the 24-hour samples, but in the 15-minute samples, there tended to be more of the particular chemical that was noted. Next, please. Okay, so this shows you that we've completed 3 of the aims, and the remaining 2 are the ones I described earlier, or the final analysis and profiling to connect the signatures, hopefully to particular manufacturing plants. Next, please. So this just describes what I finished sharing with you. And next, please. So we have also completed a health survey. Again, this survey, the results are final. This was done in conjunction with Dr. Dana Johnson from Emory University. Dr. Johnson led the study, and East Point residents assisted Emory Hercules with obtaining the grant. We surveyed, or excuse me, Emory surveyed 122 East Point residents, and the East Point residents completed the health survey from October 2019 through January of this year. So again, all this was done within the last 12 months. And the survey was designed to assess perceptions of community engagement, air quality, health symptoms, and diagnoses. Next, please. So here, I'm not giving you the full, for a couple of reasons, I'm not giving the full report that Dr. Johnson provided to us, but I've summarized highlights from that report. If anyone wants to drill down further, I do have her actual report, which uses a lot of standard deviation language and things of that sort that can be hard to see at a glance. What we found, what the report showed, was that 63.5% of all the participants perceived that air quality is a problem in their neighborhood. And the neighborhoods included both those that are directly surrounding these industrial areas as well as some that are further out. And nearly 63% of the participants reported that chemical smells were a source of neighborhood odors. Next. On the health survey, we were seeking to find how does living close to an industrial manufacturing plant affect your life and affect your health. So Dr. Johnson and her students on the survey had people note their neighborhood, and then based on whether their neighborhood was within I believe it was 3/4 of a mile from one of the industrial manufacturing facilities or further than 3/4 of a mile. She found that those who are living closer to a manufacturing facility report these following conditions with greater frequency. And those included insomnia, headaches, nausea, problems with their eyes, burning eyes, asthma, cancer, heart problems, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and stroke. Next, please. We also looked at how they feel about overall conditions in the neighborhood. And in general, residents have a low optimism that conditions in the neighborhood will improve. And respondents stated that they lack trust in the government to protect them from environmental harms. And they don't believe they will be notified if there is an environmental concern. East Point residents who responded said they're not worried about experiencing an unknown health effect in the future as a result of the air that they breathe. Next, please. So almost 60% of participants said they were interested in working with members of the community on an issue like air pollution. So that I consider that very positive. Next, please. We have also used and continue to use the Smell My City app, which anyone can download onto their phone to report an odor. And the information is publicly available. You can go to smellmycity.org, put in East Point's zip code, and download an Excel spreadsheet that will give you a list of odors that individuals have reported. We publicize the use of this app at the farmers market, through social media, through flyers, going back to last summer, obviously pre-COVID, neighborhood association meetings, and many places of that sort. And this map just shows you some of the reports that were made from, I believe, March of 2019 through February of 2020. Next, please. Water quality is an issue. Many of you all will recognize this stream that flows through River Park next to the River Park playground. These photographs, I didn't have a chance to go and take a photo after some of the adjustments that have been made by Parks and Rec recently. But for those of you who don't know, this stream is right across from an elementary school. It flows right by an elementary school and next to the playground, and then behind the homes of a number of residents in River Park. Next, please. According to the EPA website, this is a snapshot from the EPA website, How's My Waterway. It shows that 100% of the headwaters of the South River, which flow through the Ward B neighborhoods, are impaired. And I don't know if you can read the slide. I can barely read it myself, but the impairments include PCBs, heavy metals, bacteria, acidity, and other items as well. Next, please. And this part of the website, the same website, How's My Waterway, shows that the East Point water is listed as having a drinking water health violation, according to EPA. And this is just a screen capture of where it shows that. Next, please. East Point, this screen capture was taken at the end of July, and it shows you a number of companies located in East Point that are not in compliance with EPA regulations for clean air, clean water, or hazardous materials. And on some of them at the bottom, I believe the longest that EPA tracks this at any given time is about 3 years. And the one at the very bottom, Southern Wood, is always has been in significant non-compliance since going back to like 85. It just is in non-compliance, and that's a 33-acre EPD designated hazardous site. Next, please. I believe that's the last. That may be the last one. So
Yes, that was the last slide. Thank you so much.
okay. So I thank you for this time to share the research that East Point residents have done. We really hope that all commissioners will take this information into account and think about it. We know the planning and community development team is concerned about the health of East Point residents. We know they have been working very hard on this text amendment and making a lot of improvements. However, we want to make sure that everyone understands that these health concerns are very real health concerns, and that sometimes improved language may not be enough to hold these many companies accountable. Not even the EPA has been able to do that. So thank you so much.
Ms. Aaron? Ms. Aaron?
Yes, yes.
Thank you for the presentation. Did you still want to give your comments, or is this your comment?
This is not comments. This is a presentation.
Okay.
Right.
Comments during the public comment portion.
Did you still want to give your comments at that time?
You know, I would just briefly say, give a comment if that's allowed under 60 seconds.
No,
Mm-mm.
it's not.
Okay. All right. That was my question. Then
Yeah.
this is it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other presentations?
There are no other presentations this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to personally thank Ms. Aaron for her presentation myself. And I am making a comment. The history of East Point in those issues, years and years, Southern Wood has been in non-compliance. Joel knows this, and we can go back to Sheila Meredith and to Michelle Thompson, where we dealt with the Meredith Company and the creosote plant. People suffered because of that. And so I mean, this is something that I'm passionate about myself, because I know the history of how people have been, and I don't know why they didn't go as far as looking at Newell and going out Central Avenue, because people have been impacted for a long time because of environmental issues here in East Point, and especially in Ward A on that northern end, and Ward B, which has really suffered in dearly. So as we're looking at this, I'm going to be looking very seriously as to what we're doing and how we're going to help the community overall. You know, that's just my comment. That's what I wanted to say. So you'll know where I am. So when the discussion comes, you'll know that I will be definitely looking at the text amendment and making sure that long-term protection is there. I said it at the last meeting. I thank Ms. Aaron and her committee for what the work they've done now, but there's been much work done in the past around the same issue, and it's time that something is done to protect the citizens of East Point, because that property up there, Southern Wood, cannot even be used even today. All that property is up there that can't even be used because it's contaminated and has been contaminated. So that's my 2 cents, my 4 cents, my 5 cents, and my 10 cents, Mr. Chairman. I'm done. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if may I have
please.
a minute here for
Yes.
a couple of questions. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's very much needed, and I do appreciate the in-depth study that has been done. I don't know if you can answer this or not, but was there any concern about nosebleeds, odor fatigue, and miscarriages along with this study?
I'm going to leave questions like that to the scientists and to the final report.
Okay,
Thank you for your question.
thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Well, I just want to thank Julie as well. You know, being a long-term resident here in Jefferson Park as well. And like Greg said, this does go back quite a ways. And I just appreciate you guys getting together, Julie, and compiling this information. I think it's very helpful to the commission and to the city.
Thank you so much.
Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, we will continue with the agenda. I see that there is no old business. We do have 4 new business cases that are before us, and this will require a public hearing. So at this time, I will read the rules for the public hearing, and please bear with me because these rules are rather lengthy. Conducting public meetings remotely is a new process for most local governments. Due to the coronavirus outbreak and requirements on physical distancing, the Planning and Zoning Commission has recently started using Zoom, a video conferencing platform, to hold its meetings while making them available for the public to join remotely. This is, well, okay, hold on. Those attending these meetings are reminded that these are public meetings with established rules of procedure and decorum, which will still be followed to the extent reasonably possible. The meetings are held to address zoning business of the city, and to that end, anyone participating in the virtual meeting will be expected to follow the rules for public speaking at those meetings. Those in attendance have either accessed the meeting via telephone or by a webinar link. Unless you are an applicant or representative of an applicant actively addressing the commission, I ask that you mute your microphone. Unless you signed up to make public comment on a particular agenda item prior to the calling of this meeting as set forth in the public notice, you will only be allowed to listen to the meeting. You will not be allowed to speak. The standard rules of procedure require a person who wishes to address the commission during the meeting to fill out a card providing his or her name, address, and to identify the item he or she wishes to speak on. Since no persons will be physically present, applicants or an applicant representative wishing to address the commission have already signed up and identified themselves. They will be called upon by the chair based upon the sign up. Some members of the public may have emailed comments to the planning and zoning email address prior to the calling of this meeting, and those email comments will be noted and read for the record when a particular agenda item is called after the applicant's presentation to the commission has been completed. Additionally, some members of the public may have left a message with the Department of Community Development prior to the calling of this meeting, requesting an opportunity to comment on a particular agenda item over the phone during the meeting. Those individuals will be called by staff immediately prior to the calling of the agenda item, in which they have expressed an interest and given an opportunity to listen to the proceedings on the item and to address the commission at the appropriate time. Persons both favoring and opposing the proposed case will be provided an opportunity to address the commission. The applicant for the zoning case or the applicant's designated representative, if any, will be entitled to speak for a total of 15 minutes. Those who oppose the proposed zoning case will then be permitted to speak for a total of 15 minutes. However, understanding that this is a new platform and may take longer logistically, we will be relatively liberal with time until we get used to this new format, which I think at this point we should be used to. By majority vote, the commission may increase the total time of speakers, provided that each side is given the same amount of time. The zoning applicant may reserve a portion of his or her allotted time for rebuttal. After the allocated time expires, the microphone of the speaker then speaking will be muted by the host. After speaking for and against an agenda item have been given a full opportunity under these rules to address the commission, the public hearing will be closed and the commission shall discuss the case amongst its members. Members of the public are not permitted to speak during the commission's deliberation. When not speaking, please mute your microphone to avoid background noise that can be disturbing to the meeting. If you fail to do this, the host will do it for you. Also, should any recognized speaker desire for the commission to view a document at any time, please request that the host find and share the document. Due to security concerns, no one other than the host will be permitted to share the meeting screen. Speakers must adhere to the rules of decorum. Each speaker shall speak only upon being recognized by the chair and only to the merits of the proposed zoning ordinance under consideration, shall address remarks only to the commission, and shall refrain from making personal attacks on any other speaker. The chair may refuse a speaker the right to continue if, after first being cautioned, the speaker continues to violate the rules of decorum. The violator will be removed from the Zoom meeting upon request of the chair. Please understand that staff will be multitasking a lot during the meeting and may not be able to respond to a chat inquiry immediately, if at all. However, should you experience technical difficulties during the meeting, please feel free to use the chat feature on the Zoom screen and staff will attempt to assist you. We thank you for your patience and understanding as we work through these challenging times with this new technology. Now that you have heard the rules for the public hearings, at this time, I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing for case number 2020-002-08.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Tucker Todd and seconded by Commissioner Lovett to open the public hearing for case number 2020-002-08. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. At this time, staff, will you please sound this case?
Kimberly, do you have the presentation? You're on mute.
Yes, item number 1, case number 2020-002-08. Applicant is Candace Rogers. Location 2561 Sylvan Road. The applicant seeks a special use permit to construct a habitable accessory structure. Was there a question, Tony?
Yeah, do you want me to share the screen with the presentation stuff on it?
Yes. Let me give you the opportunity to share the screen. You should have the opportunity.
Thank you. Did you want me to go through it or you want to do it?
You could go through it.
Case number 2020U as an umbrella -002-08, located at 2561 Sylvan Road. The applicant is Ms. Candace Rogers. The owner is Ms. Candace Rogers. Located in a R1 single-family dwelling zoning in Ward B. The applicant is requesting a special use permit to construct a habitable accessory structure. On the screen is her site plan for where the use permit, the habitable accessory structure will go along with her primary structure. And staff recommends approval for the applicant's request for a special use permit to construct a habitable accessory structure.
Okay. All right. At this time, are there any proponents for this zoning case? Are there any proponents?
You might want to ask to hear from the applicant. I do believe that she's here.
I believe that the applicant is here. Ms. Rogers?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm not sure exactly what kind of information you all needed from me tonight. Is there anything that I can answer at this moment?
So this is the opportunity for you to present your case and to provide us with any additional context that would
Okay.
be useful for us in order to make a informed decision.
Absolutely. So I reviewed the staff report that was sent to me by Tony. Thank you for forwarding to me.
You're welcome.
And I believe that it also listed all of the requirements that I needed to have in place in order to meet the requirements with the city of East Point. So my project will be completely in line with that. It requires my ADU, the habitable accessory structure, to be no more than 50% of the existing structure. So it's going to be 682 square feet, which is exactly half of 1364 of my existing principal structure. It meets the setback requirements. I believe I needed to be at least 15 feet away from my adjacent property, and it is 26 feet away from the adjacent property. It needed to be 6 feet away from my existing principal structure, and the way that it is set out on the site plan, I believe it's 12 feet from the existing structure. It meets the minimum lot area requirement, which I believe is 5,000 square feet, and my lot is 24,000 square feet. And I also believe that it is in line with the comprehensive plan for the community of, asking or supporting current East Point residents to provide affordable housing and to add, have the opportunity to add an accessory dwelling unit to their lot. So yes, that's all I have at the moment.
Okay, well, thank you for presenting your case. Are there any other proponents to speak to this case? Any other proponents? If there is no,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry, you have anything else to add?
I do not. I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me to respond.
Okay. Are there any opponents for this zoning case? Any other opponents? Any opponents? If none, at this time, I will entertain a motion.
For the close of public hearing, Mr. Chair.
Second.
The motion has been made to close the public hearing by Commissioner Fan and seconded by Commissioner Lovett. Any questions? If none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Staff, can you please sound your recommendation?
Yes, in reference to item number 1, case number 2020-002-08, the applicant Candace Rogers, location 2561 Sylvan Road. The applicant seeks special use permit to construct a habitable accessory structure. Staff has recommended approval of this application.
So we have heard from the applicant and we have heard from staff. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to recommend approval.
Second.
A motion was made by Commissioner Tucker Ty and seconded by Commissioner Fan to recommend approval for case number 2020U as an umbrella 002-08. Any discussion? If there is none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. At this time, we will now hear case number 2020Z as in zebra -006-08. The applicant is Ray Neal. Staff, can you please present this case?
Case number 2020Z-006-08, located at 2758 Felton Drive. The applicant is Mr. Ray Neal. The owner is Mr. William Bennett. The current zoning is MI, medical institutional, and the applicant, Mr. Ray Neal, is requesting to rezone property from MI to C1, from medical institutional to neighborhood commercial to allow for the use of a studio and radio station within the existing structure on site.
Okay.
On the screen is his site plan that shows where that existing building is with the current parking and landscape. Staff recommends denial for the request to rezone property from MI to C1 to allow for the use of a studio or radio station within existing structure. And Mr. Chair, if you would give me an opportunity to show the zoning, I want to kind of give some context to that.
Sure.
So for those who can see on the screen, this area, if you tuned into our work session, the original recommendation was for approval. And after hearing, the concerns from the commissioners, as well as the discussion among staff, we decided that this would be considered what's known as spot rezoning. And I actually want to show that definition within his staff report. Staff recommends denial to rezone property from that should be from MI, excuse me. Staff recommends denial. Is that the right one? Staff recommends denial for the, because it's considered spot rezoning. And what that is sorry, I had the wrong reports up. It's considered rezoning, and it doesn't match the zoning of the areas around the around that property. So it wouldn't be in compatibility with what the land use plan is identifying or calling out, and that's the grounds for our denial.
Okay. Apologies, I missed a step here. We are supposed to open the public hearing. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
The motion was made to open the public hearing by Commissioner Tucker Todd and seconded by Commissioner Lovett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Is the applicant available to speak on his case?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Neal, please present your case.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm not sure everyone, some of the faces I recognize from last time, but good evening to everyone that's on the Zoom meeting. I'm Ray Neal. To kind of go a little background and then kind of go to the case. I worked at WYG Radio, it's a gospel radio station, for over 30 years. Also worked at AT&T at the same time. Retired from AT&T about 4 or 5 years ago. The station went off the air due to antenna problems back in 2018, late part of 2018, November, which opened up opportunity for me to purchase a radio station. I always wanted to purchase a radio station. I took my retirement from AT&T and bought the radio station, got the FCC license and the equipment. Now I'm in the process of trying to relocate the radio station. I've got the FCC license intact. It's all in my LLC name, and looking for an antenna site in Atlanta. So my listenership will not change for the station. And also a studio that would be near, doesn't necessarily have to be at the same site. Ideally, that'd be good, but I found this building at 2758 Felton Drive, which is basically the same layout as the studio we had there at 1111 Boulevard, Southeast Atlanta. So that's why I pursued that, because the building is exactly almost a carbon copy of the station that we had there in Atlanta. We're a 10,000 watt AM radio station. Our history is we've been in Atlanta since 1956. We've had various formats. So throughout the years, we went totally gospel in the early 90s. And my goal is to partner with my immediate surrounding businesses of 2758 Felton Drive, and also to be a source of information for the city of East Point. I reached out to the Bonterra Nursing Center which is on the south side of 2758 Shelton Drive, as well as Life Cycle OBGYN, which is on the north side of 2758 Felton Drive. And I've also offered them 2 free infomercials a day, Monday through Friday, to highlight their services. Both the directors in both cases were receptive to partnering with me and the radio station so that their services could be highlighted on the station. Also, I'm reaching out to Wellstar, which is also in the neighborhood, to offer them the same infomercial twice a day, Monday through Friday, so that we will fit into the community. Of course, I want to reach out to other surrounding businesses. Like Chick-fil-A is not too far from there. You've got Walmart not too far from there. As far as the city of East Point, I'm offering the city of East Point a 30-minute slot per week to discuss the city of East Point and what the city is doing. This would be community-based, so it would not be a charge to that, but the city of East Point could benefit from that, I believe, because we're a 10,000 watt station and we reach the entire Atlanta Metroplex. That's 5.6 million people. And so I want to offer that to the community. I was looking on the city website today, and I saw the Count the Point 2020 Census Chalk Art Festival, which is coming to East Point on this weekend at John D. Milner Park, 3009 Randall Street, East Point. And that's going to be this weekend. And of course, we will highlight things like that on the station. And I believe we would actually, even though I know I read the report and I understand the rationale behind the report, but my goal is to fit into the community. My goal is to help the medical facilities around me to get publicity and to highlight their services to the community of East Point. Also to partner with the city of East Point to see if I can help with getting, I actually want to connect the city of East Point and the city of Atlanta because they're 2 progressive cities. The studio would be in East Point. We're looking for a site. We've got a couple of possibilities in the city of Atlanta for the antenna. So you have 1 foot in East Point, 1 foot in Atlanta. And I want to highlight both communities, bring them together and be a community-based radio station. So I read the report. I understand the rationale as far as the zoning, but my goal is to partner with the people around me and not to be like an eyesore, because we're not changing anything on the outside, just a building. We're going to use it just like it was for a medical facility. People are going to be coming there doing broadcasts on the inside. Nothing on the outside is going to change. It'll just be a parking lot used for a radio station. So I feel it would help the medical facilities around there. I feel it would help the city of East Point to have a 10,000 watt station that's going to offer them time to highlight the city of East Point. And I just want to say that and put that out there. And I want to be not disruptive to the community, but be a partner with the community and the city of East Point.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or does that conclude your case?
Well, that concludes my case. If I've got any questions or if there's questions about what I said, I'll entertain those, but that's all I had to say as far as presentation.
Okay. All right. Are there any other proponents for this case? Any other proponents? Are there any opponents for this case? Any opponents? Hearing none, at this time, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to close the hearing.
Second.
A motion was made to close the public hearing by Commissioner Lovett and seconded by Commissioner Fields. Any questions or comments?
Comments, questions?
If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Staff, can you please sound your recommendation?
Staff recommends denial for case number 2020Z-006-08 for the request to rezone property from MI Medical Institutional to C1 neighborhood commercial to allow for the use of a studio radio station within existing structure.
Okay. So we've heard from staff and we've heard from the applicant. Are there, at this time, I will entertain a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the applicant change his request from a zoning request to a special use request.
Commissioner Fields, unfortunately, that's not a motion that this body can make. You can certainly, explain to the applicant, why you are not wanting to support the rezoning. But at this point, the motions available to the commission are to move to approve, to approve with conditions, to deny, or to defer the application for a specified reason and a specified time frame.
Okay. So at this time, is there a motion on case number 2020Z as in zebra -006-08?
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to deny.
Is there a second? Okay, that means that the motion fails. Is there a motion for this case?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for deferral.
Is there a second?
I want to second it, the motion, and I want to have some discussion on this.
Okay. Commissioner McKnight, there's no problem with your motion for deferral, but you need to specify deferral to a time certain.
I'm sorry.
And if you're talking about next month, that's fine enough. Just
no problem. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to defer case number 2020Z-006-08 to our October meeting.
Okay.
October 2020.
Is there a second?
I second it for discussion. I have some discussion. I want to have discussion.
Okay, please start.
Thank you. If you would, Tony, go back to that other slide around the buildings, because I am definitely a proponent against spot zoning, and I will tell you that.
Do you want the zoning map or did you want the site plan?
I want the map where it showed the properties around. Okay, thank you. That's what I want.
You're welcome.
So, what are these properties in the beige? Are those commercial properties on East Cleveland?
Those are commercial, yes.
Okay. And as we move in further, there are commercial properties or these parking lots that's striped here, that's in that beige color.
Where are you looking?
What a property is in question in terms of being rezoned. The red property, I'm assuming that's the property that we're looking at the rezone.
This blue area, this little dot here, that's the property.
That's the property we're talking about here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there's a commercial property right here on this corner right here, right?
Right here, yes.
So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look like it's 6 lots over. Maybe I can't quite see, Tony. Give me that number.
You talking about here?
No. On that corner there where you said the blue line is there where the property in question is.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5.
Corner though, right?
You're saying this line here?
Right, this line, that line,
Yeah, those are 5 MI properties.
Okay, and how many properties are that's one commercial lot there, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't see because you got your.
Oh.
No, Bill.
Sorry.
I think we're talking about the residential properties.
So we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Are you talking about the green?
Count them.
These green properties?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay, so that property would be in the middle of the medical, the M1 properties, right? But we have a commercial piece of property on the corner there at East Cleveland, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. And what is this property in the cul-de-sac? What is that? What is that property?
This is
A
Wellstar.
2779 piece of property. What is that?
You said which one? I'm sorry.
In the cul-de-sac in the back of, I think that's Blunt Street. What is that?
A multifamily. I mean, two-family dwelling. Probably a duplex.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we have one piece of commercial property already on that track already. Okay. All right. It's there. My second still stands for deferral so we can have more discussion. I'm good.
Okay.
I'd like to ask a question.
Is there any other questions or comments?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question.
Okay.
I was looking at the Muni Code, the municipal code in Article J, you know, Section 102212, it speaks to the use of permits. So when amending a zoning map, it is said that the city can approve a use permit. And sometimes they use that in conjunction with zoning, zoning and or use permit. So that seems to fall within the purview of the council, that we can approve a use permit in a particular area where a zoning permit may not be permitted.
Commissioner Fields, the special use permit, you're right, we provide for special use permits under certain circumstances. But if you take a look at the scheme of the zoning ordinance, for example, this particular piece of property is in an MI district. When you look at the MI district regulations, we divide uses, not only in MI, but in every zoning district, into permitted uses, into uses that are allowed by special use permit, uses that are allowed by administrative permit. This particular use in an MI district is not something that's allowed by even a special use permit. So this commission cannot kind of create a special use permit for a particular use that is not otherwise identified as one that would be considered within the zoning district. Do you follow what I'm saying? There's kind of like this hierarchy of uses, and a radio station in an MI district is not one of the listed uses that this commission could consider for special use permit status.
Well, if in fact the applicant says that he can actually enhance, say, for instance, the footprint, or say the drive traffic to the medical units or the medical institutions around in that area, that he could become a force for them as well as speaking to the people that he's going to reach on his station. Isn't a service connected to that? Would that fall within the purview or within the definitions of that?
I would have to see what the MI district, do you happen to have that, Tony, in terms of the MI district, or Albert, are you able to put that up on the screen for MI district, what special uses are allowed?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up.
That may help us work through this.
If you look at section 102071, which I did research, and it
Can you
says,
guys see that on the screen?
Huh?
Can you see that on the screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Can you
Okay,
scroll
yeah.
down to the special use section? It would be probably subsection D, Tony.
something that says amateur radio over there.
That is to allow an amateur radio antenna, Commissioner Fields. That is different from a commercial radio station. An amateur radio antenna under our ordinance is limited to a particular height. This special use permit section in the MI district would allow them to exceed the antenna height that is normally allowed in an MI district. That it really is only as to the antenna for somebody like a ham radio operator, not somebody like what Mr. Neal is proposing, a commercial radio station. It's a different kind of use.
Well,
I'm not sure when you scroll down that there is a special use that would fit what Mr. Neal is proposing. I'm sorry, whoever's handling the screen. Yeah, let's look.
Mr. Neal.
No.
Okay. All right.
This is Ray Neal. Can I speak, please?
Oh, you can't?
No, the public hearing is now closed. I'm sorry that you can't speak right now.
Oh.
I can or cannot?
No, you cannot speak at this point.
You can only speak, Mr. Neal, if you are recognized, if somebody asks you a question.
Okay, all right, okay.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I'll ask them a question. What is your understanding, Bishop Neal, in terms of what you understand as it relates to, we heard what you're talking about in terms of the station and what the station is going to do. What is your understanding based on what the commission is discussing and what they discussed prior to tonight in terms of you being able to use that facility for a radio station? What is your understanding now? Because we're moving to defer it. So if we defer it, that means it come back at the next meeting for more discussion to vote up or vote down. So,
okay.
So I was trying to find out, Linda, what a section that says special use. I haven't seen where it says special use yet, Tony. I'm trying to see that first. Hold on for a minute, Mr. Neal, before you answer the question. I'm trying to see.
It's part G. If he scrolls up a little bit.
There it is. Use is permitted through.
Special use permit only. Those are the uses on the screen.
On the special use, and those are the ones on the special use permit only. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what's your understanding with what you know in terms of what is being said today? A church could go there, a place of worship could go there, and various things, if you can see them up there, that they could go there. What is your understanding now?
My understanding, thank you, Bishop Fan. I see even a cemetery can go there, and it's kind of, and I understand the rules, and I respect the committee and everyone's opinion, and I'm not trying to be controversial, but what I want to do is actually fit into the community, and that's why I reached out to facilities north and south of 2758 Felton Drive. I'm reaching out to Well Star, which is right in the same area, because I want to be a part of the community and not just a radio station sitting there that doesn't help the M1 code. I think that it's more than, if you look at it saying, okay, well, within each one of those facilities, if they had a public relations department that was going to push their services to the community of East Point and to the Metroplex of Atlanta, then WYZ Radio being there is going to be that link that is going to link the medical facilities to the community through advertising and giving them free time. Additionally, I want to help the city of East Point by giving them 30 minutes free of airtime every week so that they can talk about what's going on in the city of East Point to the Atlanta Metroplex. So I want to fit into the M1 footprint there by offering, I'm sorry.
It's MI.
I'm sorry, MY. I'm sorry. Thanks, Tony. I want to fit into the MI footprint there by facilitating advertising for them free because I have all the airtime that I could offer to them free, but offering them at least 2 infomercials a day for Monday through Friday time slot and giving the city of East Point a 30-minute program that's free. They can let someone from the city come in and host it. The mayor of East Point can come in and host it. She could let some of her staff come in and talk about what's going on in East Point. Whoever want to host it, they can host it and just come in and talk about the city of East Point. So my goal is not to be an eyesore or to be someone disruptive to the MI footprint there, but to facilitate that footprint by being giving them advertising and talking about and enhancing their footprint in the East Point and the Atlanta Metroplex. So that's my take on it. And I understand the rules of what you're saying as far as a C1 being and spot zoning. And then I see the commercial there on the end there as well, Reverend Fan, that's there. So I was hoping that because of the benefits of the M1 zoning, that that would be helpful to the M1 zoning in that area, as well as to the city of East Point, because holistically, I'm coming to help the city of East Point. And I want to be having a radio station, 10,000 watt, that reaches 5.2, let's see how many people in Metroplex, 5.6 million people in Atlanta Metroplex. That's going to help, and my goal is to help East Point. So that is my goal, vision, and hopefully someone can see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, yes, it's a different zoning. However, I want to help that MI zone by giving them advertising free that's going to help bring people into that zone for their services, and also going to help with that 30-minute program I'm going to give the city of East Point. That's going to help the city of East Point ultimately. So that's my intent. That's my goal, to help the city of East Point, as well as to partner with no antennas going there. Not going to be an antenna at all. It's just going to be a place where we have a studio. It'll be connected to the studios, to the antenna site, which is going to be in Atlanta somewhere. And it'll be connected through computers. There's nothing going on the outside of the building. There's going to be a parking lot. So I won't be disrupting anything. It's just going to be people coming there doing broadcasts, ministers, parking, going in the building, doing that broadcast and leaving. So it's no more than a doctor's appointment if someone was coming there.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, staff, will you please sound your recommendation?
Commissioner Bell, that recommendation has already been sounded. We are actually in discussion. So there's a motion to defer that has, I believe, been seconded. And I think all that's left is to vote on that motion.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. At this time, if there are no other questions, the motion on the floor is to defer this application to the October meeting. The motion was made by Commissioner McKnight and seconded by Commissioner Fan. If there is no additional questions or comments or concerns, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Staff, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Commissioner Atkins, Commissioner Todd,
No.
Commissioner Fan, Commissioner Lovett,
Aye.
Commissioner Bell,
I'm not supposed to vote.
Commissioner Miller, Commissioner McKnight,
Aye.
I think we need to hear from Commissioner Fan. He's now unmuted.
I am.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Fan, what's your
For the deferral, I
Commissioner,
thank you, Linda, you caught that. I was gonna tell him.
so maybe he left the meeting. Commissioner Bryant, who's not here, and Commissioner Fields.
Aye.
Okay, the
ayes have
motion
it.
is 4-1 and it passes. Okay, Moving on to the next agenda item. This item is 2020 M as in mom -003-07. The applicant is the city of East Point. This requires a public hearing, so at this time I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion was made to open the floor for a public hearing by Commissioner Todd, and a second was provided by Commissioner Lovett. Are there any questions? If there is no questions, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Staff, please sound your case.
Case number 2020 M-003-07. The applicant is the city of East Point. The applicant seeks a text amendment to amend Chapter 2, Article C in order to establish new zoning districts, WHI, warehouse industrial, and MXCI, mixed use commercial industrial. The purpose is to establish zoning districts to allow for transitional uses. The warehouse industrial district, proposed warehouse industrial district, excuse me, the intent of this section is to establish this zoning district that provides areas within the city for manufacture, storage, sale, and distribution of goods and the conduct of related commercial and industrial activities. It is comprised primarily of those existing warehouses, similar developments, 175,000 square feet or more with 3 or more loading docks and more than 100 feet of road frontage. There are some anticipated outcomes such as improving the air quality, having some environmental benefits from new technologies, expanding the use of green infrastructure, as well as limiting which corridors may be able to transport, store, or house certain materials. These on the screen are the district standards that we came up with, such as 100-foot frontage, 75-foot maximum height regulation, side yard setbacks of 20 feet. As you can see, there's also transparency requirements to break up the material of the building, such as 50% ground story, non-residential, transparency upper story, 20% minimum, blank wall length is 30 feet, and the entrance facing primary street is required. There are some architectural design standards, having a certain amount of percentage for each type of material. The percentage is applied to the siding on each exposed exterior wall of each building visible from the street that the building will be located. We came up with some ideas of what each type of material will look like. So such as type A would consist of such things as stone, brick, granite, marble. Type B would consist of certain kind of metals or concrete block. Type C would be something like a reinforced concrete slab. Type D would be a type of aluminum. And the materials that aren't listed will be presented to our department under the discretion of Ms. Kimberly Smith, our director of our Planning Community Development Department, for her designated representative for classification. Buildings having walls over 20 feet high may be given special percentages by our department. We did discuss an environmental justice clause. We heard Ms. Ehring's presentation earlier. Thank you again, Ms. Ehring, if you're still on the line. We came up with some potential mitigation measures for addressing those adverse effects, such as reducing pollutant loadings through changes in processes, reducing certain sources of pollutants to reduce cumulative effects, planning for indirect impacts, providing assistance to the nearest affected community to ensure that it receives at least its fair share of the anticipated benefits, establishing a community oversight committee to monitor progress and identify certain concerns, changing the timing of impact causing actions, and partnering with local medical teams to conduct regular medical monitoring on affected communities and providing treatment or other responses if necessary. We came up with some design requirements to be incorporated into the project, such as parking reduction and density, a shared parking with certain businesses, permeable material for parking areas, use of bioretention islands, use of pervious materials for driveways, use of green roofs, downcast lighting, and I'm just going through refuse screening, natural vegetative transitional buffers, and combinations of natural stone and brick to help the proposed warehouses look more architecturally sound and not just like a big block of something in the middle of our city. We came up with some stipulations and restrictions as well as approval criteria. The company, property, and land may not be listed on EPA's ECHO list of noncompliance within the last 5 years. If site is listed, applicant must provide a environmental site assessment and required mitigation measures. And they must also submit an impact analysis on traffic, environment in the water, noise, as well as air. Our approval criteria will be subject for approval under the conditional use permit regulations. It will go through the public hearing and thorough staff review, which means it'll be analyzed by city service departments such as transportation, stormwater, zoning, traffic, building, etc. And each department will review it based off of their ordinances and codes. An approval process will ensure that development does not cause burdens to traffic, air quality, light pollution, noise pollution, environmental injustice, as well as social injustice. These are some of the permitted uses for the warehouse industrial districts, such as commercial greenhouses, manufacturing, wholesaling, newspaper, publishing facilities, industrial design centers, offices, self-storage, mini warehouse facilities, printing establishments, and manufacturing. The I-1, we came up with some uses within the I-1 zoning district that will require a special use permit, such as manufacturing, newspaper publishing, food processing plants, truck terminals, wood processing, and dry cleaning plants. We also came up with our mixed-use commercial industrial district. The scope and intent, and I'm gonna kind of go through this briefly. The intent is to establish areas within the city that is consistent with neo-traditional planning practices, which are often defined by pedestrian-oriented buildings, interconnected streets, a mix of uses, housing types, and a compact walkable scale. So whereas we had the warehouse that would is primarily just for the manufacturing sector, the mixed use commercial industrial would be a mix of our commercial and industrial uses that basically would allow for a walkable area. So, you have commercial on the bottom floor and residential on top, which actually strengthens, in some cases, the local economy in that area. It's designed to create compact, dense, and distinguished core areas with character that allow not only for urban forms with multiple uses, but also street-oriented activity and pedestrian amenities at the street level of structures. Some of the permitted uses for the proposed MXCI district are art galleries and artisans workshops, bookstores, cafes, community center buildings, community commercial kitchens, food trucks and food truck stations, grocery stores, hotels with motels not being allowed in that area, museums, gyms, exercise facilities. So if you've ever seen a warehouse that has been repurposed for fitness or gyms, they are awesome. They're usually found within those mixed use areas. Collaborative office spaces, so like incubator spaces, residential uses, single family or two family dwellings, and multifamily dwellings. The multifamily will only be permitted on the second story and above. Rooftop gardens, tasting rooms, studios, cigar, smoke shops. The use regulations mandates a mix of residential, commercial, office, or institutional uses. Within that district, land and structure shall be used in accordance with standards herein. Any use not specifically designated as a permitted use in the section or as a use allowed by administrative permit shall be prohibited. We have some development standards of 75-foot height restriction, minimum front yard setback 3 feet, no side yard setbacks, 5 rear yard setbacks, and a 100-foot lot frontage. And the purpose of that is to kind of utilize the whole parcel. We talked about pedestrian access and just make sure that we have something that people can walk to and bringing things really up to the street, as much to the street front as possible. All permitted uses within the C1, C2, CR, and MIX districts are allowed. Again, these are just some of the uses: art galleries, artisans workshops, banks, bookstores, commercial kitchens, and community center buildings, food trucks and food stations. Rooftop gardens, tasting rooms, studios, cigar smoke shops, newspaper facilities, and residential. Staff recommends approval of this text.
Tony,
sorry. Yes, ma'am.
we haven't got there yet.
Okay. Well, this is where we stop.
Okay, excellent. All right. Are there any proponents that would like to speak to this matter? Are there any proponents?
Yes. Well, not for, they're against, I'm sorry.
Okay. Are there any proponents? If there are no proponents, are there any opponents?
We have a Mr. Garrett Hartle, Kimberly, which I do believe he is on the call
Okay,
under Christina Hartle.
okay. I will allow Christina Hartle to talk.
Okay. Mr. Hartle, you can now speak to the commission.
So my name's Garrett Hartle. Sorry, I can't change my name until I'm actually in. I live here in Jefferson Park. I had concerns about this in general, just because it seems like that I really like the changes for the to WHI and the MXCI, but my problem lies that it's targeting I-1 only. And that an area like Jefferson Park is sandwiched between I-1 and I-2, and it doesn't address that I-2 at all. And I also feel like we have a history of there being no recourse once something's approved, and I feel like that's not addressed either. And I know that they added the committee for oversight, but once something is approved, there's nothing that allows them to be able to stop them or shut them down or fine them. And I feel like this is being proposed as a reason to lift the moratorium on industrial, and because it's not, I think it's frustrating, because I feel like these are great steps towards being able to lift the moratorium on industrial. And so I just feel like there's needs more time, because as a resident here in Jefferson Park, when we walk around and we can't go to certain parts of our neighborhood because of smell and stuff like that, I just feel like there needs to be a more thought about I-2. This is in addition to I-1. But I do want to say that I really appreciate this very thoughtful look into it. I especially like the MXCI. I just feel like that they need to address I-2 as well. So my vote is to not continue it until this is given more thought. I yield my time.
Was that deferral? What? Oh, okay.
Okay. Who is our next speaker?
We have a Mrs. Carrie Ziegler. Is she on here? Yeah, she's on.
Yes, she is. I will allow to speak. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Ziegler, you can now speak to the commission.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carrie Ziegler. I live in Jefferson Park. I don't know if you know a lot about Jefferson Park, but I like to tell you a little bit about it. We're mostly a tight-knit group of neighbors who deeply care about each other. The best thing that brings us together is trust. We look out after one another. We are constantly looking out our windows to make sure everything's okay. We trust each other, and many of us have swapped house keys with another neighbor just in case something happens. However, the thing that is lacking is trust outside of this neighborhood. For the health, safety, and welfare of residents, we depend on industrial companies and warehouses to be honest and comply with current EPA laws on their own. After that, we depend on state and federal governments to monitor what's going on. And then after that, it's really up to everyone else to catch them dumping pollutants into our streams or releasing toxins into the air. It falls on residents to make complaints, spend tons of energy keeping track of odors, coordinating meeting times, attending meetings with city officials, all in the hopes that someone will listen and take us seriously. I have read the industrial moratorium and proposed text amendments, and here are some of the things that are concerning to me. I would like to direct your attention to the proposed zoning ordinance WHI warehouse industrial document. In the air quality improvement section, it says that the federal air emission standards for freight equipment should be increased to reduce air emissions, air emissions. In the next section, entitled Environmental Benefits with New Technologies, it references that federal funds should be offered to bring cleaner technologies to market more quickly. However, we can't trust that these things will happen. At the federal level, restrictions were rolled back in 2017 so that industries could pollute more, which means that if we discover a problem or if we feel like our health and safety are at risk, we may not have a legal standing to say anything about it. Our president also defunded the EPA by 30%, which means that he doesn't have the health, safety, and welfare of residents who live close to industrial sites as a priority. The only thing that I can see regarding storing items outside is, in this text amendment, is where it says all outdoor storage must be enclosed by an opaque fence that's a certain height. Although Brentag on Lawrence Avenue isn't a warehouse, let's remember that they were storing acetic acid outside in a tank, and that leaked and it caused the residents to be evacuated. So it sounds like we need something more specific on the different types of materials that could be stored. Another area of concern is in the Environmental Justice Clause. It says that there will be a community oversight committee to monitor progress and identify potential community concerns. That sounds really exciting and cool, and I would be more than happy to be a part of that. However, what protections are in place to prevent industrial companies from harassing and intimidating residents who speak out? Another problem that I see is that we aren't specifically restricting what can be stored at a warehouse. What is the definition of a good? What are we specifically talking about relating to commercial and industrial activities? Are we allowing the storage of, let's say, 100 million rare Beanie Babies, or are we allowing the storage of dynamite? Remember the fire in 2017 that brought down Interstate 7585. That was because a state-owned storage area under the highway bridge caught on fire. It contained high-density polyethylene and fiberglass tubing and burned hot enough to bring down the interstate. From what I can tell in reading the text amendment, it sounds like similar materials could be stored here in East Point. Can you imagine what would happen if this was here next to a residential area, or what if it was located next to...
Clean drive.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, please everyone mute your microphones except the person that's speaking.
What if it was located next to another storage area that contained even more dangerous items? As a reminder, the enforcement laws come from the state and federal level, not the local level. And even then, even the EPA at the federal level, they aren't able to get these companies into compliance either. That means that if we have a problem, we don't have any power to correct it. The new zoning district is getting closer to what we want. The MXCI is awesome, but it's not quite there when discussing the WHI, I1, and I2. The only protection that we have as residents and as a city is to not allow warehouses to enter our city at all. Therefore, as a resident, my health, safety, and welfare depends on you guys, the Planning and Zoning Committee, because residents are not in control of their own well-being. And we have a chance to change East Point. Let's not miss this opportunity to make it the best that it can be. And with that, I yield my time.
Okay. Staff, I believe that there's one more speaker, right?
So the last speaker that we had was Miss Julie Ehring, and I wouldn't mind calling her to see if she still wants to speak, if that's okay.
Sure.
I just will second the things that Carrie said. You have to think about what recourse is available to residents when pollution occurs. And you have to also think that with these proposed warehouses and the trucks coming through and the particulate matter 2.5, that's been shown to lead to worse outcomes from COVID. And this pandemic is going to be with us a while. Again, back to our federal leaders and our state leaders. They don't have a plan in place to control it. So it's just going through our community. And when people live next to warehouses and other facilities with air pollution, they're going to get sicker. So I do have concerns. And for that reason, I'm opposed to this warehouse text amendment I believe it needs more work focused on the real life health concerns of residents.
Okay.
Chairman Bell,
Yes, ma'am.
I received a email from a Christina Hartle. I think her husband may have spoke a few moments ago. She did send in a letter that she addressed to the Planning and Zoning Commission and requested that it be read out. Will you allow for me to read that letter?
Yes,
And I
please.
also sent it to all of the commissioners as well this afternoon.
Yes, you can read it.
Okay, thank you. Dear Planning and Zoning Committee, I am writing today in opposition to the text amendment to Chapter 2, Article C concerning the establishment of WHI and MICX zoning districts. While on their own, these text amendments contain some innovative ideas that I support, I am concerned they ignore the larger picture. By adding these text amendments, the lifting of the industrial moratorium is inevitable. Prior to doing so, we need to examine all industrial zonings and how they affect the health and well-being of East Point residents. Specifically, we cannot forget to examine I-2 heavy industrial, which is not addressed in the current text amendments. Being an East Point resident that lives adjacent to a light industrial zone, I am oftentimes woken from industrial noises such as those created by freight. This greatly impacts the quality of my family's sleep and ultimately health. By changing the zoning to WHI zone, similar businesses will continue to operate here and industrial noises will persist and possibly increase. East Point has a long industrial history. There have been companies that have abused our air, water, and land without repercussions. Simply walking past fluorescent blue water in the South River at River Park, driving by one of the many brownfield sites, or strolling by the paint-scented air of the industrial zone adjacent to Watley Avenue gives attention to this fact. Prior to adding text amendments or lifting an industrial moratorium, we need to include ways to prevent new businesses from permanently harming our city and the health of our citizens. I would like to applaud the committee on their proposal to create a mixed-use commercial industrial zoning district. Your idea to transform the Willingham industrial area into an MICX zone is innovative. Many cities are transforming blighted industrial areas into mixed-use areas to encourage local economic growth and to provide citizens with more residential, retail, residential, and small business space opportunities. This will enable East Point to continue to compete with other cities around us. In the end, the industrial moratorium was enacted to enable the city to examine the effects of industry on our community. While the current proposed text amendments do show the committee's desire to find solutions to improving the city, we still have more work to do. Thank you, Christina Hartle, Jefferson Park neighborhood.
And we also, Kimberly, I forgot to add that email that we received that I forwarded to the commissioners as well.
That is the email.
Is that the same one from Colonial Hills from Ms. Laura?
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, from Colonial Hills Neighborhood Association President.
Okay, that's different.
And I'll read that if that's okay. It's
Yes,
from
please.
a Miss Laura. Laura, please forgive me for butchering your last name. I'm so sorry. But it is from Miss Laura Kuchenmeister or Kuchenmeister. She says, hi, I'm writing to comment on the proposed text amendment that creates WHI zone. I think the addition of environmental justice language to a zoning ordinance is a good step to take, particularly since members of the Colonial Hills neighborhood have experienced negative impacts from industrial neighbors in the past. And even now in the form of illegal semi-traffic, smells that cause them to close their windows, and light coming into their homes in the winter from the new Walmart distribution center. At a Colonial Hills Neighborhood Association meeting last week, many of these concerns were expressed. Understanding that already operating companies won't be affected, we want to make sure it's clear that additional industrial development is all but certain to negatively impact our neighborhood further. While I don't object to this language, and I'm glad for it to be added to zoning ordinances, I would like to make sure that staff, council, and commission members are aware that our neighborhoods have little to no recourse to solve the current problems, and we have very dim expectations that enforcement will be possible. We would like to be engaged in future discussions of environmental justice language and community needs, and wish that it were possible to extend these requirements to all I-1 and I-2 zones. We hope this is considered as a next action in the near future. We would also like for the board to consider changing these nearby industrial zones to mixed use as is proposed in Willingham or similar. We would also like to be proactively notified of public hearings related to development in these zones. Sometimes it seems difficult to understand what a public hearing is and where to find the documents. Additionally, as the comprehensive plan is updated, we would like to be engaged and hope that the health and wellness of residents, their quality of life, will be prioritized over industrial development. The current version of the plan doesn't adequately address the negative impacts residents in certain areas experience due to industrial pollution, and still appears to call for more industrial development as a goal. Finally, although we anticipate this would not be the case, we would very much like to see the development moratorium extended again until the Partnership for Southern Equity can present its research on the impact of these industrial zones on the residents of East Point. Thank you, Laura Kuchenmeister, Colonial Hills Neighborhood Association President.
Okay. Are there any other comments that you have received?
That is it.
Okay. All right. I would like to just take a moment to thank everyone who has spoke to us about this issue and those who have sent in comments. We greatly appreciate it. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
May staff make their recommendation to the Planning Commission?
I'm sorry. Yes, staff, please sound your recommendation.
Yes, Chairman, in reference to item number 3, case number 2020M-003-07, applicant, City of East Point, location is citywide. The applicant, City of East Point, seeks a text amendment to amend Chapter 2, Article C, in order to establish new zoning districts, WHI, warehouse industrial, and MXCI, commercial mixed-use industrial, allowing for transitional uses to mitigate negative impact between residential and industrial uses. Staff has been advised by the legal counsel that there has been an advertisement issue and that re-advertisement, unfortunately, the re-advertisement deadline had passed when we received this information. With the intent to preserve the integrity of the proposed body of work presented to the Planning Commission and to the community, we are recommending to defer for the purpose of re-advertisement. And that is our recommendation.
Okay. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion was made to close the public hearing by Commissioner McKnight and seconded by Commissioner Lovett. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. You have now heard from staff about this application. Are there any questions or comments? And hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to defer.
Second.
A motion
Can we
was
get a time
made.
certain, Commissioner Todd?
I'm sorry?
Can we get a time certain for the deferral?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Motion to defer to our next regularly scheduled October meeting.
And does the second still stand?
Second. Yes, the second still stands.
Okay, so a motion was made to defer this case to the October meeting by Commissioner Tucker Ty and seconded by Commissioner Lovett. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Our last and final case for this evening is 2020M as in mom -004-07. This is another text amendment by the City of East Point. At this time, I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Linda, but before we move forward, can we get clarification for the record? The Planning Commission just deferred due to the advertisement situation. Will a deferral be adequate, or should there be language in there to say a full re-advertisement is necessary, or is it just logistics and we're fine?
because of the advertising error that I believe was made, I think that we will need to re-advertise in full for the October meeting and conduct a public hearing. So I guess the question would be,
I can't hear you. Okay.
Can you unmute her? Oh.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did I go on? I don't know where you lost me. I think we need clarification from Commissioner Tucker Todd as to whether it would be his intention that there be a public hearing conducted at that time. Obviously, in order to conduct a public hearing, we would need to re-advertise and re-advertise properly.
So just a quick question. Do we need to revisit the vote that we just took?
I would recommend that you do so. I apologize, but Kimberly's correct. Needs to be advertised for a public hearing and deferred to the October regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So just as a matter of making sure that we follow the process properly, would this be a motion to reconsider what we just voted on?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
Because it's already been voted on, so ask to entertain a motion to reconsider, and that would have to be made by the maker of the motion.
Okay. So at this time, I will entertain a motion.
I'm trying to understand what the motion is. So are we saying that it has to be,
I think Kimberly's point, Commissioner Tucker Todd, was that the motion was to defer to the October meeting. And this motion would just clarify with certainty that you are deferring to the October meeting for another public hearing, because this was advertised for public hearing, but the advertisement did not meet legal muster because it did not explain the entire scope of the ordinance that was under consideration. So what we're asking is whether you would make a motion to reconsider the motion so that we clarify that in October, it will be advertised for public hearing again.
All right, then I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the motion deferring to the next Planning and Zoning meeting for September the 20th to include public hearing.
It would be in October.
The October.
I'm sorry, October. I'm a calendar.
Sorry, Joel.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's all good.
Second, Joel.
Okay, so there is a motion to reconsider the previous vote we took on deferring item number 2020M-003-07 to the October meeting. The motion was made by Commissioner Tucker Todd and seconded by Commissioner Fan. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. So at this time, I will entertain a motion on case number 2020M-003-07.
Yes, Chairman. Item number 4, case number 2020M.
We need the motion.
Wait, hold on.
We need the motion on the last one. The motion to reconsider was approved. Now we need the main motion on the last item to make it clear that it is being deferred to October for a public hearing with appropriate advertising.
So at this time, I will entertain a motion on case number 2020M as in mom -003-07. This was the case that we just talked about, and we need to clarify not just deferring this case to the October meeting, but also to make sure that it is properly advertised. Let's not all speak at once.
So Linda, you're wanting a motion to defer to our next regularly scheduled October meeting
Yes, along
to
with,
include public hearing. Is that right?
that's right.
Correct.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you,
my motion.
Secretary Todd.
Okay, that's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made to defer case number 2020 M as in mom -003-07 to the October regularly scheduled meeting, along with properly advertising this case. That motion was made by Commissioner Tucker Todd and seconded by Commissioner Lovett. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Now at this time, we can hear our last case, which is 2020 M as in mom -004-07. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to open the public hearing on case number 2020 M-004-07.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion has been made to open the floor for a public hearing for case number 2020 M as in mom -004-07. The motion was made by Commissioner Lovett and seconded by Commissioner Fields. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Staff, will you please sound your case?
Yes, item number 4. Case number 2020 M-004-07. The applicant is City of East Point. Location is citywide. Applicant, City of East Point, seeks a text amendment to amend Chapter 2, Article A, Section 10-2003, Chapter 2, Section 10-2072 of the City Zoning Ordinance to make provisions and add definitions for small box stores. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, please continue.
Yes, sir. Tony, can you go back one slide, please? Thank you. The purpose of this small box ordinance is to reduce the oversaturation of small box discount stores within the City of East Point. Can everyone mute their phones, please?
Yes.
So if you're the law in
Your phones, if
for the ballot, that's recorded as well, right?
Kimberly, can you mute
everyone? Yes, yes.
And I picked it up and I didn't finish it.
Okay.
And then my thing came in and voted.
Ms. Smith, can you mute everybody's line, please?
Yeah, they're gonna come and chop my head off.
Okay.
In other words, there's an audit trail. Right.